Oh, shoot. Sorry. Oh, no, we did it again. Hold on. Let's see. Hey, guys, and welcome to Spooky Sips, where we put our love of horror movies into a podcast and sip some spirits along the way. I'm one of your hosts, Yvette, and I'm here with Laura.
Hello.
And Brianna.
Hey. All right, so tonight... Tonight, we've been sipping. We just watched American Mary, which if you are into horror movies at all, you have probably heard of this. But if you're not, you may not have. It could be a little bit niche. Basically, American Mary is about a medical student named Mary, and she is lured into the world of performing freakish surgeries to earn money for school. And a lot else happens along the way, but we're going to get into that for you.
And just to give you a bit of a trigger warning, there is sexual assault in this movie that is pretty graphic and upsetting. So if that is something you are sensitive toward, just be wary of that.
All right, so let's get into it. So this is quite a, as you said, graphic movie, heavy movie. There's a lot that happens, a lot to digest.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our experience. I had seen this before. I had watched this, almost a decade ago. I'm not sure what year it is, but I watched it I think pretty recent to it coming out. And was a huge fan. There was just something about the main actress of this movie that pulled me in. I am now her biggest fan.
Yes.
So I think that's what captivated me. But how about you two?
Yeah, so I had never watched it before. Honestly, I think I maybe have heard of it, but I don't even know if that's true. I feel like Mary's just a common name, so maybe I just heard another movie with Mary in the title. So I knew absolutely nothing and went into it completely blind, no trailers, no nothing going into this.
So I feel changed after watching this movie. I had not seen it. The only reason I had heard of it, Brianna, is because you had watched it and you had told me that you felt like this is one of the most I don't know how you put it, but that
it stuck with me.
It stuck with you.
I have still think about this movie.
Yeah.
However many years later. Yes.
It's such a really, it's a messed up movie, but almost in a, not in a good way, but
no, there's something really phenomenal about it.
Yeah.
It's a very phenomenal movie.
Yeah, like I said, I feel a little bit changed. I don't know who I am anymore. It was,
Now, do you remember why you watched the movie? So yeah, I think it came out in 2012. So 10 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah. Do you remember why?
Okay. So 2012, I was going through this phase where I was watching every underground horror movie that was weird and niche and foreign sometimes that you could find. If it was an obscure, unknown horror movie, I got my hands on it.
Oh, okay.
And so on my search for all of this, I found American Mary. I almost want to say that it was on Netflix or it was on one of the big ones, and I found it. And I remember I looked it up and the reviews were so mixed that I was okay, I gotta do this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a doozy. It was a doozy.
I can see why you recommended it for this, for sure. Because there's just a lot with this movie.
Okay, so before we get into it, we're going to start with what we're sipping on tonight.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a fun story. So I had seen it, and they had not. So I got to choose the cocktail tonight, which I don't usually do. And I thought I would choose a Betty Boop cocktail, which these two, knowing nothing about the movie, were why in the world?
I was confused.
I was that's a little strange.
Yeah.
But let's roll with it.
Yeah.
But listeners, if you have seen the movie, you know why I chose the Betty Boop cocktail. And basically all that is grapefruit juice, bourbon, and simple syrup. Mm-hmm. And as a non-bourbon drinker, I have to say, it was really good.
It was super good. Yeah. It was delicious.
I enjoy a bourbon cocktail.
Yeah.
That was solid. Grapefruit can be kind of a hard flavor to pair with stuff because it's just so overpowering and some people just hate it.
Yep.
But it works really well. Like, it was subtle in the cocktail.
It
I think
was.
the simple syrup honestly helped.
Yes.
Sweeten it up a little
It was
bit.
actually kind of a sweet cocktail, which I'm
Yeah.
normally not,
Right.
like, I don't love sweet, but it was balanced.
Okay.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
a good pick.
By the bourbon and the grapefruit.
So we'll drop the recipe below so you can sip along with us as you're listening to tonight's episode.
But go ahead and get yourself one of those right now. Just
Yeah.
before we
Yes.
start.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Hopefully,
pause.
hopefully you have one as you're watching the movie.
Yes.
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 Okay, so let's dive in. Here we go. What did you two think?
I have so much to say about it, but I think the first couple of things that I want to point out was, I know we always talk about the opening, right? Or a lot of times we talk about the opening.
We have to.
So the opening, before it gets to like pleasant music, it's just this off-putting sound. Like if a violin could make the sound of nails on a chalkboard, I feel like that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
So just already like it hurt my ears. It put me on edge.
Yes.
It was a great way to start the movie. I think. And then also like throughout the movie, there was a lot of like red lighting and the colors that they used in the movie. I really appreciate
the lighting in this movie really lent a hand to like the vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Well, like even her fridge. So Mary opens her fridge in one scene, and her fridge light is this like blood red.
Yes.
Which this is before she goes dark, and we'll talk about her evolution as we go through the podcast. But even that was a sign that
it is.
No,
There's
actually
just
made a note of that. It's like, who has a red light in their fridge?
Yeah.
Yes.
I need one.
That happen?
There's like something just almost queasy about it because then we jump right into her suturing a turkey, which just the way that she is suturing this turkey is nauseating.
Okay, NSFW warning as well. The way she like does a cut, but then she like puts her fingers and spreads open the chicken.
Yes.
I was like, oh god,
It's just disgusting.
I swear when they first started showing it, you couldn't tell it was a turkey.
No, you could not tell it was
just
a turkey.
Tell something was getting sewn together.
Yes.
So honestly, it was a great introduction for this movie, though.
It
that
was.
does perfectly set you up.
It was
for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and I feel like the movie is almost split in half. Like, there's the first half that kind of leads up to the event that occurs that kind of, well, I don't know the word for it, that changes her trajectory. So there's the first half of it, and I feel like the way they do the music, the way they do the lighting, all lends to that. And then in the second half of the movie, I feel like it changes. It gets a little more intense, a little more saturated. And I feel like with the lighting and the music, it really does justice to that.
Oh,
totally. It's worth mentioning during this, after we get the whatever sounds they do at the beginning while they're sewing up the turkey, it's this weird Ave Maria.
Yes. Throughout the entire movie, there's
this like classical, beautiful music, and
Ave Maria playing in the background while you're getting this weird turkey getting sewn by Mary. It is
No, it's very it's heavy.
But like her vibe when she was performing her practice on the animals, there's one scene pretty early on in the movie where she's wearing like her little apron. She's got a glass of red wine. I think she had a cigarette. She's got like a glass of red wine. Was it a cigarette or a scalpel? I don't know.
Honestly, there's no way to know.
and then she's just like wearing like these heels just by herself in the kitchen, just cutting up like pigs or chickens or whatever. Yeah, it was just her vibe is amazing.
Well, and so here's an interesting factoid that I was going to drop about the Ave Maria, which it vibes with the opening scene. So I don't know if you noticed, but this is a very detail-oriented factoid for anyone listening. But the instrumental changes throughout the movie. So they play Ave Maria 3 times in the movie, the beginning, the middle, and the end, and it gets increasingly more complex. The instruments, the background, the sound, as Mary's skill as a surgeon increases, so does the skill of the music.
Oh my gosh, how clever.
That's good.
I know.
That's amazing.
I know,
that's
right?
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, should we start with, like, I guess, you kind of, the movie's kind of, like, split into pretty like even part. Should we talk about the first
Yes,
part?
let's talk about the first part.
Just the setup for it. So we meet Mary. Just, a normal person who practiced sutures in her kitchen. We later find out is a medical student, a broke medical student.
As most are.
As most are, really.
Yeah.
So we get to meet her in class. We meet obviously we later find out why his vibes are so fucked. But
we meet this terrible professor.
Just an awful professor. Just awful energy.
We immediately hate him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
He's so degrading to her the whole time.
Very degrading.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just the way he, talked, and which I guess means the actor nailed it, really.
Right.
Because it was just, everything about him, the way he talked, and it wasn't just the dialogue.
His mannerisms towards her.
Yeah.
His behavior. Agreed.
No, definitely.
So she's broke, she's going to med school, she's got this jerk professor, but she also has this really sweet relationship with her Nana. And so, she's doing her best.
Yeah.
But she needs money.
Yep.
So she's
goes to the old World Wide Web.
Yeah, so she's on the phone with her sweet Nana, talking about, I don't even know, sweet Nana stuff.
Yep.
And then as she's doing that, she's looking up ways to earn money quickly.
Yep.
And what was the ad for that she?
It was for a massage. It was for a non-sexual but erotic massage.
Yeah, it was no sex, $1,000.
Yeah, but it was
something.
clear that it was sketchy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to the club and interviews for the massage. And during that, some shit goes down. The bouncer comes in to grab the club owner and be like, "Hey, shit's gone down. We need you." And that's when he rushes back in the room and says to Mary, "I'll give you $5,000." Because he knows that she's a med student, right? So he knows that she's got medical background.
And he knows because she brought a resume.
Yes, a resume to a strip club.
Yeah,
a sketchy strip club.
Yeah. So the owner brings her back. I don't know who wants to talk about what we saw.
Yeah, brings her down to the basement, and there's a guy there that I'm thinking it was them that messed him up.
Yes,
right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And it was they had de-eyed him. They took his eye out, and then there was also a cut.
Yeah, they basically split him from, it seemed like
his navel,
the base of the rib cage or navel, all the way up his face.
Yeah, that
and
feels like a very Game of Thrones thing to do. From the navel to the eye. I don't know, that felt very medieval.
Yeah.
And so she sutures him up. She gets him back in working order for $5,000.
Yeah.
But she has a really hard time with it. This really weighs on her.
Yeah.
This isn't just a casual thing that she does.
Yeah.
You can tell that it really emotionally is heavy on her.
So I know a lot of times we like to kind of lump the psych of the episode all at one time, but let's just interweave it this episode.
Yeah.
Because I feel it messes her up, and I feel like she's definitely showing a lot of signs of PTSD, even though it's not been a long time that we get to witness her, but she instantly, as soon as she goes through the suturing of that victim, she becomes super hyper vigilant. She's just sitting on her couch.
Yeah.
She's got her bat. She's just ready, for just potential threats to her. So I feel like they did a really good job of showing that affected her and gave her that PTSD.
No, where it was something, because they could have gone a lot of different ways with that. And so, that I feel like that was a normal reaction, right? She's broke. She did it because she was desperate. She wanted the $5,000. But then, I mean, can you imagine, right? You come back home and it's okay, I guess I've entered a life of crime.
Right.
Yeah.
Are criminals coming after me?
Right.
Okay, I guess I'll just sit on my couch with a baseball bat, not sleeping. Because that's, this is my life now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where we get to meet the theme of our cocktail. We get to meet Betty Boop, Beatrice.
I love her.
I love the actress that played her did such a good job. Apparently she had to do a lot of voice training to get her voice to have that intonation and whatnot. But so then we get to meet the Betty Boop character and enter into the world of body modifications.
Yes. So
okay, my question is, so there's Betty, and we'll meet another character who wants to be like a doll, but one of the crazy things about them is just their faces are so still.
Yes.
So yes, it's clear they've had surgery, but it looks like they're wearing a mask.
Yes.
So it's more than just Botox. It's more than that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
like implants.
It's like their face
lot.
is actual plastics.
Yes.
It's not like...
Mm-hmm.
And while I believe that the character of Betty Boop did need to use prosthetics, they did for her, a lot of the other people that they used in the scenes are actual people of the body modification world. Like they didn't
really cool.
do prosthetics for them. They just found people that are into body mod and used them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, so everything, at least from what I saw, everything is practical effects.
Yes.
There's no like CGI,
Nope.
like computer, which I love practical effects.
Yes, I agree.
Because it always looks more real.
It does.
No matter what kind of movie. And I think especially for this one.
Yes.
It just felt real.
I agree.
I have a dumb question. So what are practical effects? What is that?
So CGI is when you use computers to do it, and then practical effects is...
you use like physical props.
You use like prosthetics and makeup and
real sounds, action movies like fire.
Yeah, it's like you
real.
would use actual fire, not a CGI fire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which yes, I think especially like in that era, like 2012, there was so much of that like CGI going on, and I love that they didn't do that because I think it gave the movie a more authentic feel.
I like distinctly remember the movie 2012.
Yes,
like that horror end of the world.
One of the only movies I've ever walked out of the theater from. I walked out of the theater from 2012. Yeah, I was out. We were done. We could not.
I don't think I saw it.
That's the first thing that came to mind immediately.
Man.
But anyway, we meet Beatrice because she's calling Mary, trying to get some services.
Yep.
She's trying to track her down. Mary's rejecting her calls, and finally she gets a knock on the door because she has a package that she has to sign for.
Beatrice.
And at first, honestly, I thought that was going to be part of the horror of the movie. Because the voice, the fact that she all of a sudden found her phone number, which, we know later that she works at the club and she found it because, Mary left her resume there. But, like, it was just super eerie. You see her face,
very
it doesn't
eerie.
move.
Yeah.
She has that very odd, high-pitched voice. I thought that was going to be the horror.
Oh, and then, because when she walks in, like, she knows she has a delivery, so Mary unlocks the door, and then realizes she's still wearing the coat, so she walks over, like, take it off. And then you just see someone come through
shadowy
behind her.
figure.
Just a shadowy figure.
That was spooky.
So I immediately thought, that's someone from the club, or like the guy that she ended up suturing. Like, someone's come to hurt her. Was my immediate thought. Which, honestly, I love that. Give us a twist.
No, it was.
Yes.
Yeah, so we learn that she's just got another job. And so it's for a woman that wants to be desexualized, right? And so she's basically wants to become a real life Barbie doll. And I feel like this is still part of the first act where Mary is able to do the job, and it doesn't affect her quite as much this time. It's not quite as upsetting, but it's also not a malicious surgery. It's not a malicious act. It's just a job, right?
Can I say, like, I don't know much about body modification, but $10,000, that's like a pretty good deal, right?
That's a very good deal.
For the work that she had
for
done?
like an elective surgery?
And for the amount that she went through, yes.
Right?
It is.
That was a steal of a deal.
I mean, it's like the student rate, right?
Right, it is the student rate.
Mary is not a doctor, just as I am not a doctor, by the way.
Right.
Our disclosure of that. But yeah, so it's a deal for her, I guess. But I do feel like, and this is not the norm in a lot of body modification communities, but I do feel like the two women in this movie, I think they might have some body dysmorphia. Just because they're not body modifying to express themselves exclusively.
Yeah.
There's also clearly they have this like overwhelming sense that there's something wrong with them, that they have to change, they have to become this like perfect identity.
Because it's an extreme.
They obsess over it, and it's kind of like
an addiction, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And that it kind of falls under the umbrella of OCD type of disorder. So I think that is definitely something that they're going through. For sure. For sure. But we end up loving them.
So then,
honestly, I love her. She offers to go get coffee with her at some point. I would love.
Girls' night.
I want to go have a girls' night with Betty Boo.
That's how she said
Are you kidding me?
Oh my god!
I would love that. No, I love their friendship throughout the whole movie. I actually feel like that's one of my favorite parts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, so then there's the turn in the movie. So this is the trigger warning we were telling you about. So basically Mary goes to a party with her professor and so basically the professor that's teaching the class, but also the resident that's kind of overseeing her at the hospital. And she gets sexually assaulted in a really traumatic, brutal way.
Because it turns out they thought she was a prostitute because she got all this money. They didn't realize what she was into. And so I think they invited her to the party because they thought she was now a prostitute. Which, like, that justifies it, right? But, like, I think that was the thinking. And it's a really horrible scene. Like, very violent, very upsetting, very graphic and gruesome.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And it's just so sad. Because, like, we set up the movie because she's a broke college student who just really looks like she's a very talented surgeon and, like, wants to be a good student. And she realizes she gets invited to this party.
Yes.
And she's like, a party with all the surgeons?
Because she's being told that she can be this great surgeon. So she's led to believe that they believe in her.
Yeah.
And also her professor has been such a jerk to her that she's like, probably like, oh, this will be, like, he finally is not thinking I'm just this some stupid... mess up of a student.
Right. He's going to let me network.
Yeah.
And this is after she, like, delivers the message to the families. You know, they kind of, like, do the test of, like, oh, go tell the family.
Right.
That,
so they probably thought she's doing really well. Let's let her network.
Yeah.
And then he assaults her in the most vicious way possible. And that's when the movie moves into the second act of Mary's evolution.
Yeah.
Even the lighting changes. Like, even if you notice the lighting of the morning she walks out after is a little bit grayer and a little bit darker.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, there is no more, like, bright sunlight.
Yeah. It's just
in
dark.
the movie. It's
like,
just darker.
Visibly dark.
Which I always love when a movie, like, has their extras like lighting and all of that and sound kind of echo what's happening.
Yeah. Like, I know we're not talking about The Ring, but I feel like The Ring does a good job of having, like, its lighting very distinctive. Like, if I see green lighting, I'm thinking of The Ring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or Twilight.
or Twilight.
But that's a whole nother...
That is a horror movie for different reasons.
Oh, we might need to.
Yeah, that'll be another drunken episode.
When we need, like, a real palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Let's do Twilight.
Or us just really obliterated on wine.
Yeah.
You'll get to have us watch Twilight. So look forward to that.
Definitely. So then we get Mary going back to the bar. And she walks up to... do you guys remember the name of the guy? Billy.
Which also, can we pause just to talk about... I find Billy very attractive.
I find him unattractive, but really sweet.
I think he's so
Billy.
cute. You don't think he's cute?
He's cute.
I don't think he's cute at all.
He's totally my
I think
type.
she's cute. She's my type.
I mean, she's cute too. Don't get me wrong.
Billy, not so much.
I think he's so cute. He reminds me of somebody, I can't think of who it is, but he's really cute.
Yeah.
Cut that part out.
Yeah.
Oh, I know who she's talking about.
We didn't say it. We're not cutting it out.
We're not cutting it out. You viewers, readers, listeners, you get access to this. So yes, she goes back to the club. Where were we?
Yeah. Goes back. Sees Billy. Oh yeah, so she walks up to Billy, and it is the fastest scene. Like, if you blink, you will miss this scene. She walks in, she says, Do you want to make $5,000?
Yes, that's it.
And then I think it cuts away, or we see her walk away. Honestly, it happened so fast that I didn't know who was talking.
At first, I wasn't sure if she was trying to make $5,000 or was giving him $5,000. That's how fast it happened. I was like, wait, what just went down?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so basically she's saying, I'm going to pay you $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
And he says yes. And then we see that her apartment has been set up with kind of Dexter-like plastic around, the floor and the walls. And the people have like delivered something there for her. And they say, oh, do you want us to come pick it up?
Like later
Oh,
tonight?
yeah, like, do you want us to come back and get it tonight? And she's like, no, I need till tomorrow.
She's like, no, I'm going to need overnight.
And then we start hearing some moaning and groaning in the background. And we realize that she has kidnapped Dr. Walsh?
Dr. Douchebag.
Whatever his name was.
Mm-hmm. But
so the man that assaulted her, she has had Billy and his bouncers kidnap him, and he's got this contraption in his mouth.
Oh, what was that?
It was like a jaw spreader.
But what would that have existed for other than for torture?
Well, for like an extreme dental surgery, for like jaw surgery.
Oh, okay.
Like if you needed to like do actual surgery in the back of mouth, like
it's a thing of nightmares.
Yeah,
it is a thing of nightmares for sure.
Yeah.
When I first saw this, I was like, what is she going to do to him? Like,
oh, yeah.
I wasn't sure what to expect, but she essentially does every form of body modification that you can do to a person on this man.
Because basically she had been, once she did the procedure on the woman who wanted to look like the doll, she went to that woman's website.
Right.
And she saw all of these other people who've done
and then it was like a lucrative field.
Yeah. And her asshole professor had been telling her, like, you have to be perfect. As a surgeon, you cannot make mistakes. You have to be perfect. And so she's like, well, in order to get perfect, I have to practice. So who better to practice on than you?
And she did drop out of school, we learned that, which was sad. And so then here's what I want to talk about. So I love the way that they handled gore in this movie. I feel like I am a believer that the less you see, the more horrifying it is. And I always love when movies do that well. And I love that we didn't actually see most of the surgery performed. You just hear it, and then it's like they panned out. And we saw, painting or something, and we just hear these sounds. I love when movies do that, and we don't actually witness the gore.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because for this scene in particular, she lists the things she wants to practice. She says there are about a dozen of the most popular body modification surgeries that I want to test. And then she lists out all of the examples. We hear her starting with, I think, the tongue. Yes. And then that's it. So we are just left to our own imagination.
And we really see how she has started to change. I mean, from how she handled, when she was doing the very first surgery of the first victim, she was like soothing the guy. She was like, shh, it's okay. You're okay. And then in this, she is just cold and calculated down to business. And we really start to see that change in her.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so we don't really know the extent of what happens until a scene a little later down the road.
Yeah, where we see him hanging
from
by hooks.
Yeah,
from his back, from the skin of his back.
Yeah,
he's completely limbless.
Yeah, she's cut off all of his limbs.
And we can only imagine all the other small details we don't see.
Yeah. Sewn his mouth shut.
Because she's taking pictures of his whole body. Well, what's left of it. And so we can just imagine there's a lot else that there's happening.
But also he's alive.
Right, he is alive.
She's keeping him alive.
Yep.
She's continuing to practice on him. Yeah. So, pause. So him being hung from the hooks.
Yeah.
That's something that people do too.
Yes.
Like for,
Sexual.
body suspension. Not even necessarily sexual.
Okay.
Have either of you heard of suspension parties?
No.
I have been to one.
What does that mean?
Oh, tell us more.
Okay,
Please.
so it was not a sexual thing.
Laura's
so
bright
basically,
red,
I am
Yeah,
bright
Laura's
red.
face
She's
is bright red.
Just
She's
because
neon
I
red.
know. So I don't know. So basically, friend of a friend was having this suspension party. They have basically what it is people don't know, but people,
I don't know.
people will put hooks in their back or
Ew.
various parts of their body, and it's done in a very meditative,
Oh my God,
calm
stop.
way. And they will get the support of their friends to kind of just like hang
From their skin.
from their skin.
There's
Yeah.
nothing meditative about this.
Yeah, it was an experience.
Like, how do you... Can just
But
anyone
how?
do it? Doesn't that cut it and bleed?
It doesn't.
and...
Well, it does bleed, but basically, they pull up the skin, and they know the way to do
oh
it.
my
but
gosh,
so
I'm gonna throw up.
what you see in the movie, yeah,
You've seen in real
I've
life?
seen it in real life. So it was two people that got suspended at the party that I went to, and basically, yeah, like so they're getting suspended, and like everyone else is just like hanging around drinking beer and like
How the hell
chatting
do
with
you
them.
get invited to a party like this?
Our Halloween party is taking a dark turn
Our
this
Halloween
year.
party is just
actually-
taken up a notch.
It's so funny because it sounds really weird, but when
Oh,
you're there, it doesn't
Does it?
feel
It
weird.
would feel weird.
It wouldn't feel
I mean,
weird.
it was a little unusual. It was
Oh,
not.
But the people hanging, are they are they like socializing?
Yeah,
Are they,
yeah. So they're sitting there. Well, not sitting
Stop.
there. They're hanging there. They're hanging around.
They're hanging
Yes,
around.
and hanging. But we're hanging. Yeah, exactly.
Do they get that every 5 seconds?
Probably.
Because I would.
Oh yeah, yeah. How's the weather up there?
Yeah, so it was like it's
lots-
almost like I don't know if it was a garage or a barn, but like it was like
Garage?
detached from their house. And because they had the rafters that can support the
Oh my
weight.
God, stop. This is so upsetting.
Okay, this is the part that maybe we should cut.
No,
I
we're
don't
not
know.
cutting.
absolutely
No, we are
not.
not. We are not cutting this out.
This is our preview.
This is our preview. We just found our preview.
I
Yum.
just admitted to the public.
Yum.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well,
All right,
no, this
everyone.
is something I never
If
knew.
you ever-
Well,
if you
that's
ever
the end
get
of our podcast
That's
tonight.
it.
That's
Wow.
it. I don't even know what movie we watched.
if you ever get invited to one, I think you should try it just to see
I
what
don't
it's
think
like. You
that
don't-
I'm in that kind
I
of
didn't get
circle of
suspended.
friends. I don't
You were
think
just
I'm
there
friends with
for
those
a
people.
suspension.
Yeah, I was just drinking beers, chatting while they were hanging around.
Hanging around.
Yeah.
Just been hanging around.
But
I don't
how long do they hang? I have so many questions.
I have so many
I have so
questions.
many questions.
I honestly don't remember. So we were there at the party for a couple of hours, and only 2 people did it. So I think it's a
Only
process.
2 were dangling.
So the one person was
Like, you know,
so the one
how-
person hung from. They were suspended from their back. So it was like multiple points of like hooks throughout their back, and they're kind of like they're parallel to the ground, right?
Okay.
But then the other person was actually like hanging, so they were almost like, if I'm remembering this right, they were almost like sitting like I'm sitting, but then like hanging like by their shoulders and like the
So
upper
sitting
part
like
of their
a
back.
like crisscross.
Like, do they do it
Yeah.
repeatedly? Like,
Yeah, you can do it.
okay, so
repeatedly.
like, you know, a shower curtain, how it has like grommets. I'm like, picture.
It's a lot like that, actually.
Because
Yes.
I'm like, do they just like put grommets in to go back and
Loop it in.
get?
So honestly, and here's because this is why I'm kind of a noob with this. I don't really know all of the details of this
You
community.
know more than we do.
But
You know more
maybe-
than we do.
Maybe it's piercings that they hook that up.
Oh,
I didn't pay attention.
Oh,
I just
it's
saw people
piercings.
hanging from the
No,
rafters.
it's shower grommets.
It's shower grommets that are
But they
pierced into their
use shower.
Yeah,
yeah.
their shower curtain.
But anyway,
Human shower. What movie did we watch? I don't
I
even
don't even know.
know what
I
we're
don't even know
talking about anymore. This took a weird
I
turn.
know. Okay, so let's transition back to the
Okay,
movie.
I have
so
so
the
many questions
movie we were watching was American Mary. Okay, so let's put it into the final act, and then we'll we'll go from there. But then, so what's happening now? At what point?
I think now... Is this when she meets the...
Well, we had
right before
talked
the
about...
twins.
Yeah, we had talked
right.
about basically her...
Okay, so...
her suspending the
Which
guy.
is kind of later, so we can jump back.
So he ends up dying. The guy dies that's being suspended because the cop comes. She ends up killing the cop, and I think it's more a security patrolman than
it was
a cop.
a security guard, yeah.
But she kills the security guard, and she kills the guy that we can deduce from.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, when she really kind of goes into her darkness, because she shows back up to the club, and you could tell that she's just not really, like, okay, because she's just killed someone. And so I think that things have changed for her.
Yeah. So I do think before this is when she meets the twins, which I do think we need to talk about.
Yes.
Let's please talk about the twins.
Who are the directors and writers?
That's what I was wondering. That's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Awesome.
That makes sense to me.
So
cool.
oh my gosh.
Soska?
Yes, Soska Sisters. I'm trying to remember their names. One of them is Sylvia.
Oh,
and Jen. Sylvia and Jen Soska. Yeah, so that's them. They made an appearance in the movie.
Nice.
And wow. What characters they chose.
What characters. Laura and I personally loved it.
Yes,
we were like, oh, sisters.
We have a strong sister bond.
Not
like them.
That strong.
Not like them.
I did ask her if she would like to exchange her left arm with me, though, and she said no. So
I absolutely would exchange my left leg. But the arm? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
like
I feel like the leg would be worse.
It's worse.
How about we start with a pinky?
All right,
and see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So Laura and I are entering the world of body modification.
Yes,
yeah. No, I loved that scene.
So I don't know much about the directors or the women that did this. Are they body modifiers? Are they?
No,
but they are horror enthusiasts. Like they do depraved movies.
Okay.
And they're twin sisters. They're Canadian.
Yeah.
Of course they're Canadian.
Of course they're Canadian.
It gave me Canadian vibes.
Yes.
Talk about it,
yes. No, they're phenomenal. I haven't seen their other movies, but I've read about them. Fantastic. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they did their research into body modification.
Yes.
And that's how they were able to get a bunch of people from like the community to come and be in the movie so they could have like real people.
Okay. I bet they
represented.
went to a suspension
they
party. They
probably went to crazier things in a
Yeah, they probably went to wild parties.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the modifications that the twins went through was pretty extreme.
I was almost disappointed though, because I was hoping the first time I watched this that they were going to ask to become Siamese twins.
Oh,
that's what I thought.
Like
too.
I thought that they were asking to be conjoined twins.
Yeah, so instead they basically just said we're going to swap left arms.
Right.
I want her left arm, she wants mine.
Yeah.
And then we're going to put like horns and like made to look kind of like.
But I was
demonic.
hoping they were going to be conjoined twins.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That would have been cooler.
I mean, she like at the very end of their surgery, we get the inspiration for what the twins want to become. I was kind of, and obviously they don't have this body modification, so maybe that's why they didn't show it. But I was really hoping we'd get to see them.
I know, me too.
I was really excited, like seeing the inspiration. Yep. I wanted to know what that would look like. I wanted the end.
Same.
Yeah, so a little disappointed with that.
So, knowing that they're just twin sisters in real life, it makes the scene of them, because they're twin sisters in the movie,
right?
But it makes the scene of them like full on making out.
Yeah.
Unsettling.
Yeah. I mean, you do it for the art.
I guess so.
You know?
I guess so. But I'd have a real hard time with that. I don't think I can do it.
Twin connections or something.
Twins are weird.
We'll never understand.
I have been watching like the House of the Dragon, too, and like Game of Thrones and stuff.
Right.
There's a lot of incestual
no. There's probably
a
lot of psychology behind twins. That would be a whole nother episode that we would go into.
That is above my pay grade, ladies and gentlemen.
But man, that would be a whole other.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay, so now at this point, Mary starts getting in legal trouble, right? Like they're on to her. a little bit more.
Yes, because earlier, or I kind of forget at what point
there's like a detective throughout the movie that's kind of on her tail. But in a really like sympathetic way, and that might just be the way he's trying to get to her, but like he seems like he really does care.
Yeah. I think he fully believed she was a victim who didn't or wasn't ready to tell her story. Like I think he fully believed, like, I got this list of other women. You were on this list. I think I know what happened. Right. I think he believed her too. And thought she was a victim, not like, oh, she's up to something sketchy or she is
or even if she was a suspect, she was a like later, once he starts being like, oh no, she might be a suspect, I think he's like, but you were a suspect because you were a victim.
Yeah. Because he deserved it.
Right.
Yeah, there was actually a lot of really wholesome moments in the movie.
Yes.
So, like, you know, with the Nana that we've already talked about, with the detective that we're talking about now, also, like, with the bodyguard that she has.
With the milkshake.
You were kind of talking about, so after she had killed the security guard and then her abuser, basically, she's clearly upset. But the bodyguard goes and he gets her a variety of fast food snacks that she might want. Yeah. And then he gets her a couple of milkshakes.
And he gives her this, like, inspirational speech.
Yes. He really does.
Of, like, you know, like, you keep doing what you're doing.
I know. Like, what you do matters to people. Yeah. Don't let anyone tell you that it doesn't.
I know.
And then she talks about, you know, I think he, like, asks her if she's upset. And she goes, well, there's 2 dead guys. It affects me. But she has no affect in her voice whatsoever. She starts to become almost robotic toward the end.
Yes.
Like she's just dissociating from everything.
Oh, entirely,
She's just in denial, I think, of what's happened to her and then what she is then doing to people. So, she's going through a lot.
Yes.
She's going through a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like talking about her, they do a very good job with dark comedy. In this movie, because there were a lot of moments where I laughed.
Me too.
There were a lot of my favorite ongoing joke is Mary's resume. She brings a resume to when she first meets Billy, which is already funny because she's at a strip club. You know, she didn't need to bring a resume with her. And then later when Beatrice finds her, at first she's like, how did you get my address? She said, well, it's on your resume.
It's on your resume.
Yeah.
Well, it's on your resume.
The dark comedy is really good.
No, it is.
I really liked the line where Billy, the club owner or manager or whatever, someone brings him out food and he goes, I don't know if I entirely trust the shrimp we make. Yeah. Like, he's just, like, ordering shrimp at a strip club. Right. And then just, like, commenting on, like,
I don't think I trust this.
And then, like, at one point, a little bit later, Mary's like, how was your shrimp? Or something
like
that. I'm like, who orders shrimp at a strip club?
I think they did a good job. And I think that's honestly why it maybe didn't feel as, like, horrifying to me. Because I just personally... gore, like, body horror is just not my favorite. Typically not my favorite type of horror.
Oh, it's my favorite.
So I was not super excited after the first 5 seconds, I realized that's what we were about to do. But I think because they added so many, and again, it's all dark comedy, but they add these little moments where you just have to chuckle. I think that's why I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I expected.
It's almost endearing.
It is.
That is so messed up. It's almost endearing.
And they do such a good job of balancing it that even though it is really graphic and gruesome, like, it's so complex that it's not just that type of movie.
Yeah.
It's also... psychological, and it's also endearing and funny, and also it's like makes you think a lot. Like, it's a lot of different types of movie.
Like, as another example of another quote I wrote down that was funny. Basically, there's this relationship that's happening between Mary and Billy, where you know, the main character of the movie, Mary, is I don't know, they don't actually ever get together with
Right.
the bar owner,
Mhm.
but they both obviously are into each
There's a
other,
thing.
and there's something
Mhm.
going on. Like, he fantasizes about her all the time, and she's super into him, and at one point she, like, walks in on him getting a blowjob from, someone trying to work there, a new
Yeah.
girl at the club, and so she, like, attacks the new girl.
She scares her.
She scares her.
the
and
living
oh my
shit
God.
out of
Yeah.
her. Like,
But then she sweetly goes and follows her. She's like, I think been drugged or something.
Oh,
and she's like
yeah. Right.
trying to leave. And Mary's like, it's not that personal. Wrong place.
it's only partially
She
personal.
goes, she's like, wrong place, wrong time, wrong dick in your mouth. And it's like, funny and sweet and
It is.
morbid. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. That's why I love this movie.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good. I also just really loved all of the shoes in this movie.
Oh,
all of the outfits in
love
this
the
movie.
outfits in this movie. Really, and I just have to say, like, I love the main actress. Like,
Oh my gosh,
she
yes.
is phenomenal, and
Mhm.
apparently, the sisters, the directors, had worked as an extra with her,
Oh,
and that
funny.
was how they knew her, and they wrote the part with her in mind. Like, she
interesting.
was written, or she was an extra in one of their films, or it was something like that, but they knew
Mhm.
of her, and they were like, we want her as American Mary.
Yeah, I think Catherine Isabel is the name of
Yep,
the main
Catherine
actress.
Isabel, yeah.
She was phenomenal. No,
Oh,
I wrote
So
a
good.
note that I feel like she gives me in like a very different way, like Zoe Deschanel energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
and like a completely different version of her.
Yes.
But there was something about her
Yeah,
that
like in a
gave me
parallel
that-
universe, it would be
yes,
her.
Yes.
Mhm.
Totally.
But she just nailed it throughout the movie. 'Cause
Yes.
you get so many different sides of her
You
character.
really do. Again, it's so complex. Like, you
Mhm.
get every facet of her as a
Mhm.
person.
And
Yeah.
pulling off comedy, again, in this type of movie is all about timing.
Yeah, yes.
It takes a really good actress to pull something like that off.
Agreed.
And she did a really good job. with it.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I also feel like Billy was kind of comedic in even just his presentation. Like, he didn't even say anything. Sometimes they just put him, speaking of like outfits and
Look
shoes,
at those
they
glasses.
put him in these ridiculous like blinged out glasses.
I wrote, what are these Elton John sunglasses
I
in my notes?
love them.
I wrote, what's up with the shirt with the goat with the word farmulous under it?
Farmulous.
Is that what it said?
I don't know.
It was like a baby. It was like a pink shirt with a baby goat when he was wearing the rhinestone glasses.
I
and
love it.
underneath it had the word farmulous.
I love everything about his style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so weird.
Really
So
'Cause
random.
I feel like for most of the movie he wasn't like that, and then all of a sudden, I don't know.
I
That
will say
probably
the-
means something.
The only complaint about the wardrobe in this movie is, why does Mary have to only wear the same lingerie? I did think that was like a little. It's like, why is it always the
Well,
exact
I think
same
because
one?
it was his fantasy. It wasn't her.
Oh,
Yes,
that's true.
every time she was in the one lingerie, it was the lingerie
That she
wore
auditioned.
when she
totally,
auditioned.
Yep.
totally missed it. That makes sense. That's
So,
the only
yeah,
thing
it
he's
was-
seen her in.
Yep. It was
That's
just
how you
his
nailed it.
fantasy.
I did notice though she only wears like dark colors. She wore
Mhm.
green when she went to
Right.
the party, but other than that, she wears just basically red or dark colors until the very end
Yes.
when she wears white,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
totally
Okay,
for
so
effect.
yes,
Yeah.
let's
We can
talk.
talk about that.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the ending.
Now we get to the ending.
Yep.
So I feel like one of the things that sets it off is she finds out her Nana.
Yes, her
Has
nana
died.
has died,
Mhm.
which is a real sad moment for
Mhm.
Yeah.
her.
I loved the Nana
Me too.
stuff in the story. Like, I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. Like, I know
Uh-huh.
I personally, when I call my grandma and like when I talk to her,
Yeah.
it's only good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it is rose-colored glasses when you
Yep.
talk to your grandma.
It is.
Life is great.
Yep.
There's no troubles. Even the bad stuff, like when this is at the very beginning, but like her phone
Right.
gets shut off because she couldn't afford to
And
pay
she's
it.
like, "Oh, it was just a
And she's,
mistake.
"Oh, it was a
It's
mistake
fine."
with the bank. Like, it was okay." That is so, like, that's just relatable.
It
Like, that's how you
is.
talk
It
to your
totally
grandma.
is.
And, like, even your parents. Like, that's just, I feel like they made her really relatable and the, like, struggling student. Or just, just early adulthood. Trying to get by. But, like, your adults,
Yep.
the grandparents' parents, you're like, oh, no, like, everything's going really well. Yep, doing great.
I do wonder where her parents are though.
Yeah, I think that we just...
That's not mentioned at all.
Yeah, so we get to the end, and at this point, we have learned that the husband of the woman that she modified at the beginning, that she
To look like a doll.
desexualized,
Mhm.
is pissed. He is very upset. He beats up Betty Boop to the point where she has to quit the club because she's so, like, disfigured.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so Betty calls
Yep.
Mary because she didn't want to. Like, you can tell, like, she was being tortured. And so she was like, you know, Mary, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to tell him, but he was hurting me.
And I had to tell him where you are.
She looks like she's dying.
She
Like, it does look like she might just die at the end of this phone call. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then you learn that, she's basically told the husband where Mary is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see the guy behind
Instantly
Mary
see him behind her.
while she's on the phone
Yeah.
learning this information, and just instantly stabs Mary.
Yeah.
Instantly.
And like a big stab.
Really bad.
Again, not quite as long as the cut we saw at the very beginning that Mary fixed.
but
Mhm.
similar.
But it is like bottom of rib cage to top of rib
Yep.
cage.
Yeah, and then just like sticks the knife in,
Straight up.
starts pulling
Straight
it up.
up, yeah.
Mhm.
She claws her way to the room.
I wrote down in my notes, the
Before
crawl.
that, though, so she comes back
yes.
towards him.
That's right.
Which I feel like is something you learn in self-defense. You know, if
Yes.
someone attacks you, it's like, go towards them. They don't expect that. They don't
Right.
expect you to come, like,
Yep.
forward. So she comes forward onto him and bites off
Yes.
a part of his neck.
She like bite into a major
Yes,
I think it was
because
like a
he
major
dies.
artery. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he dies.
Yeah.
But like,
So yes.
and you just see her just spitting out his blood.
Yep.
Like she is so badass.
She
this
is the
woman.
most badass
Mm-hmm.
hero and villain in a movie. I am in
yes.
love with her.
Like a little bit of psychology is, you know, when you're faced with a threat, you're faced with a trauma.
Mhm.
There's the fight,
Mm-hmm.
flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
And Mary is a fighter.
Yep.
Yes.
She sure is.
Like she is not. If you wrong her, she's
Oh,
not
yeah.
gonna just take it.
nope.
She's
Mhm.
gonna come back with
Yep.
a vengeance, and I have to respect it.
I
Honestly.
do. I'm mad props.
Mhm.
Mad respect.
Yeah.
Yes.
So she bites his neck
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, which is all happening in like darkness because she had
Right.
just come home. Really, even turned
Yeah,
the
the
light
scene
on.
is very
I
dark.
think it's all really dark, and then you see her crawling into her like surgery room section of her apartment, and that's where you see her face. Like you could see it's just covered in blood.
Yep.
She's bleeding.
Yep.
And you
from where
can
she
see the
was
blood
stabbed.
oozing out as she's crawling. I
As
thought they
she's
did an
crawling.
amazing job
Yeah, the
with that.
crawling was
Mhm.
amazing.
This was the one time she wears a white dress, and it gets just, you can see it saturating with blood as she's crawling
Mhm.
on the floor.
Yeah, and she tries to suture herself up.
Yeah, she
Oh,
sutures
she
herself
knocks
up.
off her tools, tries to,
But it's
again,
not
like,
enough.
and there's no emotion or affect, or she's just like, it almost seems like she's just calmly.
she just has to
Suturing
go
herself
do that.
up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
It's not enough.
end of the movie,
and that's it.
she
She
dies.
dies.
Police shows
Which
up.
I think we need to talk about because that's a real strong move
Yeah.
from the writers, producers, directors, the whole
this
shebang.
is our one movie about this heroine. I will call her
Yes,
a heroine.
honestly,
she
yeah.
is.
About this heroine Mary, and she's dead.
And
This
we're
is our
gonna
one
kill her
movie.
off.
We're done.
She's dead. Yeah.
Yep.
Like this is all it's about. I kind of loved that.
Yeah.
I loved her. I didn't want to see her die, but I love that she died.
Agreed.
I think that it
Yeah.
was.
I
it was a good
actually
strong
agree.
movie.
I normally hate when they kill off,
Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
you know, but I loved it.
Mhm.
I think it was poetic.
Because it on the one hand it was a really abrupt. Like there's no big fight
Nope.
or anything. It's just guy is in her apartment, stabs her. She bites him, kills him. She's dead. Again, like a pretty quick
Yeah.
scene. I don't know how long it took in the movie, but like that was pretty quick. But I don't know. There was something almost just poetic about seeing her entire character just develop and end. Just,
Agreed.
you
We
saw
got the
her
full arc.
story.
You
Yeah.
got the
You got the
entire
full
arc.
story at the beginning.
Yeah.
And I feel like one thing we forgot to talk about is before she heads back to her apartment, she's talking to Billy, and Billy's like, "Have you ever been to LA? Let's just go to LA."
I thought about that. I
I
was
know.
like, what if they
Poor
had just
Billy.
gone to LA?
Yeah.
Why LA though?
Well, so this is in British Columbia.
Is that where this is set?
I assumed it was Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's in Vancouver.
Oh,
so,
see, I even wrote,
because it's Canadian, so it's a Vancouver city setting.
I was just wondering what.
So
about
I mean, that
LA?
would just be like right down.
You know, it's where the night sky is full of stars and dreams come true.
Oh my gosh!
All right, everyone, we're going to LA. That's going to be where our next podcast is.
Sold.
Right? I mean, that's just where you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to LA for just a fresh start. I don't know. That made sense to me. I was like, yeah, that is where you would go. You would go to LA. And, like, he talks about, like, driving down the coast instead of flying. It's like, no, you have to drive down the coast. Like, that's part of the whole trip. It takes 3 days or however long.
Yeah. He just wants to run away with her.
He does.
Yeah, I thought about that at the very end. I was like, oh, she just would have gone.
I
but
know.
It wouldn't have been right.
I like that they gave that option, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is what could have been almost, right?
Yep.
Where she could have just gotten in the car and left, and instead this thing happened. I love the ending, though.
I know.
Just have it end.
Me too. Yep. Oh, what a movie.
Seriously. I'm trying to think of any fun facts that we haven't, like, talked about. Let me go through my fun facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts.
So, Catherine Isabel did go and, like, do research at a medical school.
Yes.
Tried to shadow people to kind of learn about the medical school experience. And learned how to suture a turkey.
You know what? Thanksgiving's coming up, y'all.
Yep. We're ready.
Let's do
Get
it.
practicing.
We're ready.
The entire movie was shot in 15 days, which is quick, but also, I don't know, not shocking for a horror movie.
No.
Horror movies are always fast and under budget.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of under budget, the Soska? I forget how to pronounce her name.
Soska, maybe?
The twins. Their parents had to remortgage their house in order to get the money to make this movie. They needed more money.
What supportive parents?
Oh, yeah. Shot in Vancouver, BC. We already talked about that. Part of the inspiration for the movie was some of the twins' experiences trying to get their film out and just meeting some very sketchy people who seem legit at the beginning and then realizing that, you know, they were trying to help you for all the wrong reasons, which I feel like I totally understand.
Is a
now.
real lesson.
Yeah.
And it had a very limited theatrical run before going, I think, straight to DVD.
Well, and I remember when the movie came out, so this is not like the professional reaction, but it was very hit or miss on people I knew whether they liked it. Some, it was like their favorite movie. And then there were others that was like, oh, this was way too political. Or, oh, well, just shove that message down our throat. I remember hearing a lot of that. So, like, and if you look at the reviews, they're pretty similar. They're pretty split. Yeah. It's real down the line. People loved it and thought, oh, man, this was such an important movie. They did such a good job by it. And then others were like, oh, trash. So, it was all over the place.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I feel like I had like two other random thoughts throughout this movie. One was, you know, we here in 2022 live in a world where, you know, we know Big Brother's always watching.
Right.
And we all have our own NSA agent, you know, personally dedicated to
Hello,
watching
boys
us.
out there.
The entire time throughout the movie where they're just calling each other on their cell phones.
Yes.
And, like, I was like, you can do that today.
No.
I did have to look it up. Snowden was in 2013.
Okay.
When Snowden came out saying, hey guys, here's what the NSA. That was 2013. This movie was 2012. Pre-awareness of what we're putting out.
Of what you're okay to say on the phone and not okay to say on the phone.
Yeah. I do think that's something that really stood out to me. It was them having these conversations like, oh, just call me. Yeah, when you need me. I was like, wait, call?
Whoa.
Like, just on your, like, iPhone?
Call on a telephone? What?
The other thing, and I'm wondering if you guys got this at all. I feel like there were parts in the movie where I got that kind of dubbed over effect.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like there was a few times, especially when Mary was talking to Billy, where the sound was almost not quite right.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if it's because it was low budget. And every time that happened, it was when they were in the strip club.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wonder if they couldn't afford to make the strip club noise go away.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, they maybe had to, like, just film it, pretend to talk, and then
I could
record
totally
over.
see that.
That makes sense. I think even at the very beginning for me, the first scene where we meet her awful professor.
Oh, with the professor, too. That, yes.
When he first started talking, it just... I don't even know what it is, right? It's that dubbed over effect of the volume.
So this could have totally been.
I bet that's a budget.
Right.
I'm sure it was.
Time.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it even, like, fully took me out of it.
No.
And honestly, that might even be because I feel like I'm one of those horrible people who just does the dubbed over instead of doing the subtitles.
Oh, I could never.
I know the subtitles are
That
better.
is horrible.
We can dive into that later.
Judge
when we
you
do another international
so
movie.
much.
I don't know if we can.
I do the dubbed. I like to have TV shows going on in the background of things sometimes. So the dubbed over is kind of nice.
I guess it
Fight
depends.
I might just be more used to the dubbed over thing, so I forgive it a little more.
Wow. Well, we're learning a lot in this podcast tonight. We're learning about suspension parties, dubbed over preferences. What is my big secret that I'm going to reveal?
What is more upsetting, honestly?
The dubbed over.
Okay,
hands
there
down.
we go. I am vindicated.
Okay, so here on Spooky Sips, we give sips instead of stars. So out of 5 sips, you can do this on a scale of just as a movie or as a horror movie specifically, but either way, out of 5 sips, how many sips would you give this movie?
I think for me, this is a solid 4.
Yeah.
This is just a solid 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not a usual, like, gore person, and I think there was something about the way that they did this movie where it just worked. It's fast-paced, it's under 2 hours, it's fun to watch, they give you funny little moments, but also you get the horror. I think it's just like a solid 4.
I think I would give it a 4.5 as a general movie.
Okay.
Like, as a general movie, it upset me.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed me. Things about it I don't like, but in a good way. So as a general movie, I'm giving it a 4.5, but I would have to say as a horror movie, I'm only going to go for a 3.5 because it, like, to me, when I think of horror movie, I want to be scared, and I wasn't scared. I mean,
it's a different type of horror movie.
It's a psychological horror movie, but so I'm going to go 4.5 as a general movie, 3.5 as a horror movie.
Fair.
But all in all, I really liked it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with a 4.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with a 4 on this, just as both, as a general and as a horror. There is just something about this that's near perfection in a movie for me. I loved every part of it. And I have to say, I was a little nervous because when you recommend a movie to someone, that's pretty heavy. There's a lot when you recommend a movie, especially a movie that you haven't seen in a decade.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, is it going to hold up? I was feeling a little scared at first because I was thinking, oh no, maybe it's not as good as I remember. But I have to say, a decade later, it is as good as I remember. Still give it a 4. Solid.
Nice recommendation.
Oh, it definitely holds up. It didn't feel super dated, other than, like, the obvious, like, technology updates and stuff, but, like, it held up for sure.
Yep.
I see a moment of silence. We can cut it there.
Okay, so we are going to tell you what movie to watch next time to keep with the theme of psychological horrors to fit in with American Mary. We are going to be watching the movie Seven.
Yep, 1995, Brad Pitt, fantastic movie. So get watching and get sipping and join us next time. Yay! Bye!
Thanks for listening to Spooky Sips. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, subscribe, and leave a rating or review wherever you're listening. To stay up to date on all the spooky things we're up to, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at SpookySips_podcast. Thanks again for listening. See you in 2 weeks for a new episode.